I'd like to call the special meeting to order with roll call, please.
Councilman Arnone.
Here.
Councilman Bosco. Councilman Sakala.
Here.
Councilman Denny.
Here.
Councilman Edgar.
Here.
Councilman Hall. Mayor Copen.
Here.
Councilman Lee.
Here.
Councilman Mangini.
Here.
Councilman Stokes.
Here.
Councilman Suzak.
Here.
We have 9 members present, 2 are absent.
Okay, item on the agenda is discussion resolution, request for transfer of funds for regional brownfield grant, $350,000. And the resolution reads as follows. Resolved that in accordance with Chapter 6, Section 8F of the Town Charter, the following transfer is hereby made to Brownfield Redevelopment Construction Services, $350,000 from CIP Fund Revenue Fiscal Year 2013-2014. Economic and Community Development Grant, $350,000. Certified the funds are available. Lynn Nenny, Director of Finance.
So moved.
By Councilman Mangini, seconded by Councilman Suzak. Matt?
Briefly, back in July, Council authorized the town of Enfield to receive this grant, and then also allowed us to do a sub-recipient agreement with ECDC. The intent is to allow for the purchase of 33 North River Street, as well as some remediation of that area as part of that acquisition. And all we're doing today is setting up the account, basically booking in the revenue, setting up the account for expenditure. And this money will be held by the town. The ECDC will make requests to us to get the money that they need for the purchase as well as remediation.
Okay.
I can't hear a thing he's saying.
You can't? Oh, you don't have the, if he says it again louder, Red, can you hear it?
Basically, all I did was just say what was in the cover letter,
I couldn't hear it.
just shorter.
Okay, he paraphrased the cover letter.
Yeah.
That was in here.
Okay,
Town is holding the money.
right. Yeah, we're a pass-through, I know that.
Okay. So does anyone have any questions on this transfer?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Red.
Let me just get hooked up on that.
No problem.
I apologize, Red.
The question I had was on the Brownfield grant. Now, I thought that was for borings and so forth. And I understand this money is going to be used to buy a building. Is that part of a Brownfield grant?
Yeah, this, if I'm not mistaken, was part of the application, was the purchase as well as remediation. So this was all part of the grant that was submitted to the state for this money.
The original grant?
Correct.
Okay, and that included the building?
Included the purchase, correct.
Okay. Now, can I ask the question that I asked before?
Sure.
How much are you paying for the building?
It's $165,000.
Thank you.
Tom?
I'm really excited to vote on this tonight. It's nice. It's a good move. One's long and waiting, and it kind of signals the start of something big, I hope, in downtown. And I understand that the buildings will be used a little in between its final destination as hopefully the train station, and they'll try to put an office in there and get the building use in between. So it's great. I support it fully, and thank you. Great work.
Thank you.
I had another technical.
Go ahead, Red.
Yeah. Just technical questions. This is going to be transferred to the corporation, and it's going to be paid for by corporation checks, not town checks.
Yeah, what will happen is we'll have to transfer the money based upon their request. Is just like we do with most of the money that gets transferred back and forth, is they will make an invoice to us. We will then cut the check to them, and they'll put it into their account, and then they do the purchase.
They distribute it.
Correct.
Okay. And just with the town attorney, their articles of incorporation, their officers, their directors and everything are valid and in good?
They were when last time we checked. I haven't checked.
I've never asked. That's why I was asking now.
Yeah. I can confirm that for the next meeting for you, Councilman. Make sure we
Yeah,
follow.
and just to let you know, when we reconstituted the ECDC, we did take all the steps necessary to make sure that we followed what the state required for the reconstitution of the ECDC.
Right, well, I agree. I thought we did, but I never had it confirmed.
Yep.
And I just wanted to know, but they're actually a separate entity. They're not a town entity. All we are is a pass-through.
That's correct. When we reconstituted the ECDC, we made that separation.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I voted against it.
Bill?
Am I correct? This grant was actually something that had been awarded to the ECDC, and then the state reversed some rulings on it? Is that why it's taken this long to get to this point?
And to answer your question quickly, we applied for this money back in 2011
Okay.
as the ECDC. They awarded it to the ECDC. And then a couple of years later, they said, it can't go to the ECDC, it has to go to the town. So the town agreed to be the pass-through for the ECDC.
Okay, and that was not something that Enfield had done incorrectly. That was something that the state was reversing. Is that the same issue? They were reversing those decisions all over the state?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Well, I mean, I'll let Donna ask her question, and I'll...
Yeah. I just want to know if it was a matching funds grant or it's fully funded from the state.
It is, the 350 is fully funded from the state. What they are asking of the CDC is to acquire other funds to help renovate the building. But those funds didn't have to be in place at the time.
So is there a amount that they're looking for?
When I wrote the grant, I put in $100,000 from the ECDC.
That they'll procure those funds in another fashion?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Further questions? Councilman Denny.
So there's no money coming from the town at all directly?
At this point, no. Eventually, when we build the transit center, there could be funds put into that building, but at this point, no.
Okay, I just want to say that I'm excited about the community development of Thompsonville, and I think this is a great big step. And I just want to add one thing. I think I said this before. We need to look at more policing down there again. Thank you.
Further questions, comments? Go ahead, Red.
Well, Peter, I'm asking questions because I want to see revitalization. I'm all for it. I'm all for double track. I'm all for a train station. But I get a little worried about EDC because of what has happened on Garden Street and what has happened on South Street. Are they any more solvent because of that, or is there anything that's going to help them there? Because I worry now when you say they got to raise $100,000, I'm wondering how they're going to do it.
To answer your question, Garden Street is still under the ownership of the town. 8 South Street is under the ownership of the ECDC, and they are trying to sell it. You know, once it sells, which we hope it will, then that will help in their, becoming solvent. But as we all know, the market is tough right now, and it's hard to sell anything. So we are where we're at. The point of acquiring other funds is when they own the building, that will open themselves up to be able to apply for other funds because the building is considered historic, and there's a lot of money out there for historic restoration.
I agree with you, at least partially. It's historic, but it's not a historic district, so that will cut down the grants. But is it available or in condition where they can rent it, such as their CEO said at the last meeting?
Well, some renovations will have to be done. And I also would clarify that it's eligible to be on the historic register. And if it's eligible to be on the historic register, that means it's eligible for historic grant money. As far as being ready to rent out today, no, it's not. but it could be in the future, and that the purchase price is what it is. The leftover money will go into assessment, the Phase 2 assessment, so we can find out what is there. And then the money beyond that would go into any kind of remediation that would have to happen. And if there's money left over from that, it will go into the renovation of the building.
I agree, but this is a nonprofit organization, right?
Correct.
So there's no taxes.
That is correct.
The town is going to lose the tax revenue from this building.
That is correct.
Any further questions, comments? Kevin?
I just checked briefly on the state website. The ECDC is current with all its filings and is in proper shape at this point on that. So,
Thank you.
Anything further? Sensing none, roll call, please.
Councilman Arnone,
4.
Councilman Sakala,
4.
Councilman Denny,
4.
Councilman Edgar,
4.
Mayor Copeland,
4.
Councilman Lee,
4.
Councilman Mancini,
4.
Councilman Stokes,
4.
Councilman Suzak.
4.
There's 9 in favor, none against, no abstentions.
That completes our one item, and there's no need to go into an executive session. So is there a motion to adjourn by Deputy Mayor Lee, seconded by Councilman Stokes? All those in favor by show of hands? Those opposed? We are adjourned. Have a good evening.
Thank you.